This is tough, okay? So what we're going to have to do here is, if we don't understand what's being said in the passage, that's okay. We have to be comfortable with an element of confusion here, and we have to let the strong words in the choices and the question guide us, right? So if we don't understand what's going on in the lines, that's okay, because the choices are usually more understandable, and they will give us things to pay attention to when we go to the lines. So we still need to, also a paired question, so we're going to have to, go between the two questions here. It's going to be challenging, but that's okay. We can handle it. It can be inferred that the authors of passage 1 believe that running a household and raising children. Okay, so what do they believe about running a household and raising children? That's the question. So let's go to the lines, 4 to 6. So all the way up here, talks about that they are property owners yet have no direct influence or representation. Okay, so that doesn't even make any sense. It's barely a sentence. They are property owners yet have no direct influence or representation. This is, I don't even know what this is about. First of all, I would maybe want to know who are they. Half of the human race is excluded by the other from any participation in government. That's women. So women are property owners yet have no direct influence or representation, but that has nothing to do with running a household and raising children. So just doesn't matter. I get rid of that line because it has nothing to do with what I'm being asked. So it's gone. Okay. 13 to 17. Here to here. If the exclusion from public employments decreed against women leads to a greater sum of mutual happiness for the two sexes, then this becomes a law that all societies have been compelled to acknowledge and sanction. Well, again, there's a lot of that I might not understand because the vocab and the sentence structure is very strange and old, but I think I would understand if they were talking about running a household and raising children. So I don't see that here. That's not a great sign. They're talking about public employments. That really kind of just means actual jobs not in the home. And so that's not really the same thing. It's just doesn't seem to match. So let's see, 25 to 30. Hopefully we get something here. Is it not apparent that their delicate constitutions, their peaceful inclinations, and the many duties of motherhood, that seems like a good sign, set them apart from strenuous habits and onerous duties, and summon them to gentle occupation and the cares of the home? So notice, there's a lot about that line reference I don't understand. But for now, all that really gets me excited is that the parts I do understand seem to match with what's in the question. Running a household, the cares of the home, and raising children. Motherhood, right? It's not the same words, but it's the same idea. So this seems really good, all right? So I'm not going to worry about understanding anything more about that line for now. I'm just going to say, all right, it's good enough to keep it in, and then we'll deal with what it means later, okay? You have to be comfortable with confusion. So let's look at D, 30 to 35. It's just the next line here. And is it not evident that the great conserving principle of societies, which makes the division of powers a source of harmony, has been expressed and revealed by nature itself when it divided the functions of the two sexes in so obviously distinct a manner? Well, first of all, it doesn't really directly mention these ideas, so that's not a good sign. You could leave this in, though, because it does follow this other line reference, so maybe it's still talking about the same thing. Maybe there's something kind of inferred by these lines or implied by these lines, and I just don't understand it yet, but because it's right next to stuff that talks about the right things, maybe this is talking about the right thing. I don't know. For now, I have a favorite. My favorite is C, but I don't understand D enough to get rid of it. So I'm just going to leave it in, and that's okay. Our job at this stage of the process is not to find one line reference that definitely works. It's to just find ones that might work and, get rid of the things that definitely don't. Now we go to the choices in number 32, and there's a lot of strong words in these choices, so we're going to have to know what to check. So let's look at A. So running a household and raising children are rewarding for men as well as for women. So rewarding for men, that's a strong phrase, right? I would need evidence of that. Now, if I go to C and D, we talk about motherhood, we talk about women, but I never see anything about men in these lines. So it may be true in real life that, running a household is just as rewarding for men as it is for women. I really don't know, but that's not my task. It's not to evaluate those things. The passage should be doing that for me, and right here it's not, so it can't be the answer. Let's look at B. that running a household and raising children yield less value for society than do the roles performed by men. So less value for society. That's a pretty bold claim, okay? So again, let's go to those lines. Are they ranking men and women's jobs and saying, no, women are worse, they have a less valuable role? Okay, that's a big claim. I would really need evidence of that. Is it not apparent that their delicate constitutions, their peaceful inclinations, and the many duties of motherhood set them apart from strenuous habits and onerous duties, and summon them to gentle occupations and the cares of the home? So it's talking about women. Now, if they were providing less value for society, I would expect them to have mentioned men or society. One of the two would probably be there. Let's look at D. And is it not evident that the great conserving principles of societies, which make the division of powers a source of harmony, has been expressed and revealed by nature itself when it divided the functions of the two sexes in so obviously distinct a manner? So here it is saying that there are two roles, men's roles, women's roles, okay? But the choice is not just say there are two roles, okay? It ranks the roles. It says the roles performed by men are more valuable than those performed by women. The choice D does not say that. So it is talking about a similar idea. But choice B goes further than line reference D does. It says more, and that's not good, right? It has to say, if a big claim like that, a strong word, needs to be supported by the lines. So I might leave it in. Maybe I'm missing something, but it doesn't seem that it's there. Let's look at C. Running a household and raising children entail very few activities that are difficult or unpleasant. Okay, well, there's some strong words here too, okay? Very few activities. Well, normally when SAT choices start giving me numerical kind of phrases, I get very nervous. Those things tend to be wrong. I can definitely check this, difficult or unpleasant, and sure enough, in line reference C, strenuous means difficult, and onerous, maybe that's a harder word. It does mean, difficult and unpleasant. We don't need to really know that, though, in order to know that that line reference kind of matches, because the word strenuous, I think, is one that's a little bit more familiar. Maybe we can't define it, but we probably have a sense that it's negative, okay? And difficult, unpleasant, those are negative things, too, so we're clearly in the same ballpark. But then this other idea of, okay, very few activities. All right, well, we've got to look for some sort of numbers or numbering in this choice here. Is it not apparent that their delicate constitutions, their peaceful inclinations, and the many duties of motherhood set them apart from strenuous habits and onerous duties, and summon them to gentle occupations and the cares of the home? So it's making a contrast here. It's saying that being in the home, the many duties of motherhood set them apart from the difficult or unpleasant activities, and summon them to gentle occupations and the cares of the home. So there's a lot of this positive and negative going on here. I don't fully understand it, or I don't need to fully understand it, to see that, okay, maybe this is true. Maybe the difficult stuff is for the men, and then the gentle stuff is for the women, and that's what raising the children is about, right? I would leave this in. It seems like there's a lot of ideas in that choice that I was drawn to, and then there are similar ideas in the lines. Maybe it's not a perfect fit, but it's better than what we've seen so far. So let's look at D. Let's see if we get anything better. Running a household and raising children requires skills similar to those needed to run a country or a business. Well, that's a very specific claim that we definitely have not seen here. They are kind of talking about men's roles doing those kinds of things and then women's roles in the home, and maybe they're making some sort of comparison of some kind, but they're getting very specific in this choice, and we do not have that kind of specificity in the lines. So that's gone. And so look, this happens sometimes. We might not be able to make the choices fit in a way that we consider 100% confidence. And that's because, this is written in a difficult language. It's not like the kind of conversational English that we're used to. So there might also be words that we don't know, but we can get pretty darn close. And at this point, you've got to be happy with the 80% confidence that we have and move on. You can always come back to a question if you have more time. but you might not have more time. And so you can't get bogged down on these 20 points when there's, another 150 points left to go in the test. You've got to be able to give up and move on when you've got a certain level of confidence. So here we've done a lot of good work. We've done a process here. This is not random guessing. And so I might not be 100% certain that I'm right, but I'm pretty darn certain. And that's good enough. And these are the answers. So I might come back to this question if I had time, but I don't think I'd change anything. There's no new information that we've missed that I would second guess. And I will say one thing that I think is important that makes this question easier to answer. A lot of this time as I was explaining this, I was talking about men's roles, women's roles, and kind of agreeing that men have difficult jobs and women have an easy, simple life raising children. And I don't actually feel that way, but for the purposes of this passage, you kind of have to turn off the part of your brain that has opinions. Okay, you have to go with whatever opinion is being presented to you in these lines. And yeah, on these historical passages, you're going to get some pretty nasty opinions. Things like this about women not needing to be outside of the home and slavery being good. Like, those are going to be things you have to read. And so we have to answer our questions based upon the opinion in the passage, not about our own personal views. And if we do that, then we end up picking this choice that probably none of us would agree with, and so that can be kind of hard to do sometimes, to turn off the part of your brain that has those kinds of strong feelings. And we just need to learn how to do it and always stick to the lines. The lines are the evidence. Nothing should be coming from your brain that isn't also in the lines. That's really important.